Hello fellas! When I first made the 9 Circles Evolution video, I made it because I had a large quantity of that style of level. This video is similar. It's about the rainbow colored levels I made, and instead of being made because of the large quantity, I'm making it because these levels have all been at some point my best and most cherished works I've made in this game. These levels have always kind of been my thing for a very long time, and by a very long time I mean since around like early mid 1.9, which leads me to the levels playing right now, which are my first 2 actual rainbow levels called Rainbow Road and Rainbow Rain. These came out sometime in early 2015 before getting re-uploaded later in June 15 and 16 respectively. I'm pairing these together because they came out very close to each other and probably were made at the same time, and may or may not have been sequel and prequel, though I can't really remember. And these levels were both my 2 best levels when they came out, and they made some decent steps compared to my earlier levels, but this was all 10 years ago and these were still objectively bad levels even for the time. Also, I didn't really have anywhere to put this fun fact, but Rainbow Rain is actually my longest level I've ever made, even now. It's 3 minutes and 13 seconds long, which is 25 seconds longer than Unstoppable, my second longest level. With that, these 2 were my only true rainbow levels I made in all of 1.9, but there were a couple levels more that came out later that showed continuing improvements that were similar enough. Not by much though. I don't really think I made any actual good levels in all of 1.9. Going into 2.0, I started off by making this whatever auto level that happens to use a lot of the rainbow blocks. Level doesn't really fit the theme of this video, and it wasn't mindfully made with the intention of being an actual rainbow level. It just uses a lot of the new 2.0 blocks. I didn't even consider it to be good. I wasn't making it to be good, but the reason I'm mentioning this is because it got what I considered to be popular back then. So it inspired me to make another rainbow auto level that I'll show later in the video. My first true rainbow level of 2.0 was actually Crying Circles, and I talked about this in the last video, and my thoughts haven't changed, so I'll keep it brief. This level was a real step up from the last couple levels, and I felt like I put a lot of work into it back in the day, but even though this was a lot better than the last several, it's still not that good, but that's okay. After that, in August of 2016, I released this. It's called Colorful Past. This level was made in a bit of an experimental style for me at the time, but I ended up enjoying making the level and then the final product so much that I would continue making rainbow levels in the vein of this level. This level was where rainbow levels really started to be my thing, and after this, half of the full levels I would release for the rest of 2.0 would be in this style. This level used effects in a way that were very new to me at the time, for good and for bad. And also, this level had really inconsistent quality, almost setting like a precedent for the rest of my levels for a long time, where the best parts would be so good and the worst parts would be so bad, because I never really polished that much, and I never really had that much success, but I enjoyed it anyway, so maybe I could have been a better creator back then if I was more patient. After that, in November of that year, me and one of my in-game friends at the time, his name was Masterplays, we would release this level, Haunted. Looking back on this level all these years later, I think this one aged really good, and I think the reason for that is that it's a collab. Masterplays made a really good base level for me to add a bunch of decorations and effects to, so I spent more time doing that. Keep in mind, I'd always lose motivation for a particular level I was working on after enough time, so since I had more time to do the later parts of creating, this level had a little bit more consistent quality to it, and despite all that, the level still had a lot of the same flaws that all my previous levels had. There were still several parts that showed a noticeable lack of polish, but it wasn't nearly as extreme as the last couple levels were. Right before the end of 2016, I would upload Highscore. This level would be my last rainbow level of 2.0, and it improved a lot over my previous levels. When building this, my main focus was block designs, and if you know anything about my current and upcoming levels, is that my main focus is always block designs. Highscore wasn't where this habit started. It was evident in my very earliest levels, but this level is where it started becoming a real conscious choice, and I really tried to step it up a bit. But this level has some designs that are still good, even by my modern standards. I think it's my best 2.0 level. However, this level did have the same general issues of the last levels. A lot of parts are really empty, a lot of parts have messed up layering and so on. But at this point though, I really didn't want to be a bad creator forever, and this level was a noticeable step on that path. Before I go on to 2.1, I want to go back to what I said at the beginning of the video in the intro. I love this style level, rainbow levels, I love it, and I always have. And when compared with the levels from my 9 circles evolution video, it's more apparent that I always made those 9 circled levels because they were fun and easy to make. I always made these because they have always been my best works and they're what I want to do. I also want to say that I haven't gone over gameplay yet. I haven't mentioned it at all, and that's because all my gameplay from these early levels sucks. It's not been until very recently that I've cared about it at all, and it wasn't until like at least the end of 2.1 that I even ever made a layout. Anyway, my first 2.1 level came out in May of 2017, a couple months later, called Natural Ascent, and yes, the name is a ripoff of the level you're thinking of. Though nothing in this level actually takes any inspiration or ideas from Artificial Ascent, this level is mostly just a first 2.1 level, and I was trying out all the new 2.1 stuff for a lot of the levels linked. There's a lot of new and experimental ideas all throughout this level, and that none of it really fits that well together. The level's really unbalanced quality-wise, with some parts looking pretty good, even today, and other parts being extremely messy and chaotic. I knew that then wasn't the point of the level, so it was fine. After that, I have these 2 unfinished levels that I don't think were ever continued after what I'll show here. This first one was going to be a solo level that I just kind of gave up on a little before I released Natural Ascent. I gave up on this one for a reason. The second one's an unfinished collab. I don't remember what happened in this one, but I was pretty happy with the first part. But it's fine though, because both of these levels have had assets from them reused in the upcoming HPT remake. So there's that, I guess. This next one was a slightly more serious level. It's called Positive Process, and it came out in December of that same year. And by about this time, I was getting more dedicated in the levels I was making, and I was starting to spend more time on less levels. I wasn't spending a huge amount of time on each level, especially compared to now. This one has 18 hours in the editor. Natural Ascent had 19, which isn't a lot by even back then standards, or my current standards, but it did show that I was starting to become more patient. But this level almost deceives that. Even though it does show some consistent quality, I still did obviously get lazy in many parts. Regardless, this level contains what were some of my best parts I had ever made. This level continued my focus on block design, and it almost looks good, but with all the flaws and whatnot, it's fine, it's whatever. After this, it'd be a while until I would release another rainbow level. It would be until the end of May 2019, so like a year and a half later, when I would release a sequel to Highscore called Endgame. And I'm really regretful looking back at this level. I started out making some of the best, very best decoration I could muster, but this level ended up ending right before the drop because I rushed the level out after spending so much time on the first half. This level is and was very much made to be just high score, but again and better. And it was until I rushed out the end. During this time, I was starting to play games less and less, so I guess I just wanted to be able to see this level be finished at all. This level would be my last rainbow level of 2.1, and after releasing a couple other levels after this, I would face some account issues and stop playing the game for a while. A little bit later, I'd release this weird one. This was kind of just a silly challenge level I extended to a full minute. Not much to say here, it wasn't a serious level, and it's kind of probably my most whatever level I've ever released. In late 2023, 2.2 was seeming like it's gonna release soon, and I needed something to do really bad. So I started playing GD and working on levels again. After a day or two of figuring out how to move the level data from my phone to my computer without being able to save and load to the cloud, that sucked. I took this old project that I had. The level was extra long, set to an epic theme, and was perfect for the comeback level I was planning. So of course I had to make it follow my favorite theme. Over the next couple months, I would grind as much as I could on this level. I was suddenly faced with a lot of free time, and I needed an escape from reality, so I would end up spending a lot of time on this level very fast. By the time this level was finished, I had tripled the hours on this level as I did on anything else. It also helped that 2.2 did come out in the middle of this, so I got to play around with all of that. This level would be spiritually similar to the previous levels in this video, with a lot of focus on block design again. And with all the time I put into this level, I also did a lot more effects than I would usually do. I also tried my absolute hardest to make this one well-rounded. I consider this to be probably my current second best level overall. My main goal with this level was try to get noticed at all, and maybe get my first creator points. So this is my second most popular level currently, so I think the first goal was met. But unfortunately, even though this level got sent several times, and I'm pretty sure, like 99% sure that it got viewed by RobTop, it just didn't get rated. Maybe it was because I accidentally verified the first update with click between frames. Maybe it just wasn't good enough. Oh well. I'm gonna let the rest of the video play.
Drop it.
A couple weeks ago, I released my most recent level, Crystaline Dust. Earlier in the video, I showed an auto level that came out in early 2.0. I said that this level got pretty popular, and popular enough to inspire me to make another similar rainbow auto level. That would end up being this level. It took a while to get started, but by sometime in early to mid 2.1, I would really start working on this level. I finished about a third to a half of the current final product, and it was supposed to be this like over decorated level on purpose. It was also kind of low effort. So anyway, about 2 months ago, I had a free spot after I released Lightmare, so I started this level up again as my current mobile level that I was working on, and it got finished up pretty fast using some older assets from like Unstoppable and stuff. So it's a lot of copy and paste, not very original, but I ended up turning the level around decently. Well, fellas, that is all of my current released rainbow levels. Now for the upcoming levels. First, Hot is not really a rainbow level, but I want an excuse to show off what's going to be my best level. I also want to say that I am still looking for playtesters. Message me on GD if you want to help out. Just using that as an excuse to advertise that. After that, I don't really have any actual rainbow levels that I'm currently decorating. There is an Unstoppable Part 2 planned, but that's a while out. At this point in the video, I was going to go over some lost rainbow levels that I had progress on at some point, but didn't anymore. But the other day, suddenly, these levels are now no longer lost, and are all just future levels. So a lot of these are really old levels that need a lot of work to be brought up to my current standards, but just know that these will all come out at some point. This first one here is Arbitrary Action, and it's the sequel to Positive Process. This level is probably the best looking out of this bunch of levels, but it has terrible gameplay. It's so bad that I even thought it was so bad back at like mid 2.1 when I first started making this. So I don't know how long this level will take, but a lot of that has to be reworked. But I do plan to finish this up in a pretty quality manner. The second one is called Rainbow, and it's my favorite out of these. It looks pretty good and it plays pretty good. The problem is this level had a lot more done on it originally, but this save file got corrupted somehow, leaving me with just a preview I had made before. I ended up dropping it after that because I was demotivated. And it's going to stay dropped for a little bit until I pick it back up, but I've got so many projects I'm working on, it's going to be a bit. This third one is Rainbow Rain X, a remake of the second 1.9 level that I showed at the beginning of the video. This one's the oldest out of the bunch and has probably the worst decoration, but I kind of like it a lot and I do plan to finish it eventually. I don't know if I'll give it much of a makeover. I like the classic style kind of, and I think it has a lot of charm to it, even though it obviously has a lot of flaws. And the last level I recovered recently is Electrical Ascent. Yes, Electrical Ascent is supposed to be a rainbow level, even though that's not shown in the public preview. It's the sequel to Natural Ascent, which I didn't actually remember until I found this level. This level was supposed to be the antithesis of Natural Ascent, hence why it's all modern style and not at all like Natural Ascent, except for like the rainbow colors. Well, alright fellas, that's all. Overall, these levels have a way more interesting development than my 9 Circles levels, but that's all. Thanks for watching, and have a good day.